All right, hello, I am Mr. Rogers.
And I'm Mrs. Froman.
And these are the video notes for sections 1, 3, and 1, 4 in your book. Yeah, on Sponges and Cnidarians. We're in our animal kingdom, and these are some of the simplest in terms of their complexity in terms of animals. So that's where we're going to begin with these simple phylums of Sponges and Cnidarians. So the first one, guys, is our sponge, and they're very, very simple animals that they do eat. So we
they
call
don't
them
even really
animals.
look like an animal.
No. For a long time, they're kind of put with plants.
Plants.
Yeah. They're invertebrates. They have no backbone. They also don't really have any symmetry. So we talk about that bilateral or that radial symmetry.
Yeah.
Sometimes they appear to have radial, but by and large, there's no central point. If I was looking inside of here, there's just not any symmetry there.
Right. And so sponges live in the water up to like 26,000 feet deep. So they can live
5
pretty
miles
deep.
down.
Yeah. Most of them live in the ocean, but there are some freshwater sponges that live in rivers and lakes. And they come in a lot of different shapes and
Here's
sizes.
some tiny ones down there. There's some over here. So there's not just one type. So how do they get their food? They're basically opportunistic, whatever comes their way. So water carries bacteria, protists, other microscopic living things through those tiny pores, and basically they count on the currents in the ocean to carry that food to them. Right. And they have what are called collar cells inside the sponge that kind of trap. They're almost like little
like a little flagella.
A flagella almost in there that kind of collar, just kind of corral that food in to the cell where it can digest it. So, pretty simple in terms of how they get their food. They don't go out and get food. They count on
the water
food
brings it.
coming to them.
And their life cycle, they have asexual reproduction with budding, just like we saw with the yeast. Yep, there's a little guy right down there. The little one just grows on the side and then breaks off and floats to a new place.
Now, they also reproduce sexually, so we can recombine that DNA. It's about shuffling the deck of that DNA. Sponges, we can't say there's not really say male or female. Sometimes they're male, sometimes they're female. Sometimes they even switch.
Both.
Yeah, they can do both. They can switch. So not really one set gender either way. But what happens is, again, they always count on those ocean currents basically for what to do this. So they release the sperm, ocean carriers carry it. Will eventually find its way into the egg in the female, where it's fertilized, and then that little larva that combine two actually has to one time in its life where it can kind of swim away and find a nice spot to land and grow into a new sponge. So pretty simple. They count on the ocean currents to carry everything around for them.
Yeah, since they are stuck in that one spot.
That one spot once they land, yeah.
And once they find that spot they better find a good spot to live.
That's where they're going to
so
be.
They can find food and be able to reproduce. So those little larvas develop. It's an immature form, which it's basically a hollow ball. If you look at that picture, it's just a little hollow ball of cells that has some. They look kind of like cilia, but they're a little longer. They will just swim around until they do find that good spot, and then they'll attach to a surface, and that's where they are the rest of their lives. They don't move again.
All right, so sponge adaptations. Again, they're really simple. They don't really have tissues or organs in terms of the complexity. They're covered in those pores. Think about your bathroom sponge. It's probably a fake sponge, but the real sponge, they have the pores so water can easily enter. And again, they count on the water currents to carry all the oxygen and food to them, and also to carry their waste away. So they're dependent on the ocean currents for anything they have. They've also got, for protection, some will have what are called spicules, or kind of like spikes in the body to help kind of protect from predators and know to kind of keep away.
Yeah, some things do like to eat sponges, so if you have those spicules, a little safer. Then we have our cnidarians, another simple group of animals. These are also all invertebrates, but they do have symmetry. They have the radial symmetry, so they're all based on kind of a round body plan.
Yep, that round.
And you can just divide them, slice it like a pie. Yeah.
So habitat, all found in water. Think about jellyfish, they got to be in water to survive.
They have that water. And the cnidarians are a little different. They get their food by preying on things. They are carnivores, and they use their stinging cells to capture prey. If you've ever been stung by a jellyfish, you know it hurts. And if you're a little fish, it can kill you. The food goes into the hollow cavity, so they bring it up kind of into their bell, and there's a hollow cavity there where they digest it. And these guys can get pretty big. An Arctic jellyfish was caught in 1865. It's like the record, which was 240 feet long with its tentacles. So
I think of the ones when I've been snorkeling, there's a little guy swimming around, but they can be quite big. So different types. Like they have different forms they kind of take on. So polyp form This is more of a vase-shaped body with a mouth on the top.
So it's like this.
Yeah, so they're kind of up. And think of this guy here. So this would be the polyp form. Like corals would fall in this category.
Right.
And there's also the Medusa shape here. So Medusa, we think of the Greek mythology.
Yeah, all those
those
snakes.
You have the snakes coming down. So here we have like it'd be the head here and the tentacles coming down. So they spend their life, I guess upside down compared to the polyp form. And sometimes, depending on the species, they might spend part of life as a Medusa, then part as a polyp, and vice versa.
So their life cycle, the polyps actually reproduce by budding. So they just have the little piece grow on the side. You can actually break some of these into pieces, and each little piece will become a new organism. So it kind of regenerates the rest of the body. Some species have both sexes in one organism, and others have males and females in separate. Most of these are going to hatch as larvae. Some of them go through that polyp stage and the Medusa stage, while others are only a polyp all their lives or a Medusa all their lives. So
kind of there's a lot of variety there. We talk about the phylum. We're kind of in that broad category.
There's a lot of differences in there.
When you get down to the species level, there's a lot of variety in how it happens.
Yeah.
So in terms of adaptations, they actually have specialized tissue. Like think of a jellyfish, they kind of can swim around. They're actually able to move on their own as adults. Movements are directed by what's called a nerve net. Now, we have a nervous system. There's more just a nerve net throughout their body with no central point, but it kind of allows them to respond. If something touches them or brushes against them, they can respond and sting them on the big things. They can react. They can react to their environment much more than the sponge can.
Right. So they use these stinging cells to capture food and to protect themselves. So the stinging cells are found on their tentacles, and they have a little trigger. And if you touch that trigger, if that brushes up against your arm, that automatically releases that little harpoon that has the poison on it.
They say it's one of the fastest motions in the animal kingdom. Is that trigger right there? Is that release? So it's mechanical. So even when people say if they die on the seashore,
they can still sting.
Yeah, because
so
that's
don't
mechanical.
Step on them.
That's right. Even if they're dead, that can still can still go off.
Yep.
All right. So 7th grade, we're going to stop there today. We thank you guys for watching, and we will see you along the way.
Bye.